In this video, I'll show you how we made our own custom closet doors with caning. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for weekly DIY and design videos. The rough opening for our closet is 28 inches, which means each door will be 13 inches wide to allow for the door jamb and any required shimming. The height of the doors will be 96 inches, and since I wanted to do caning in the middle of the door, I decided that 2.5 inches for the width of the door panels would look good. Materials. For the frames of the doors, we used white oak, small radial weave cane, a router, a bit, dowels, doweling jig, wood glue, pipe clamps, corner clamps, a miter saw, an orbital sander, and a drill with a brad drill bit. The project cost me $335, but because I chose white oak as the wood, it made the project a little more expensive. You can definitely get the cost of this project down by choosing a cheaper wood. We went to our local lumber store, Architectural Woods Hawaii, to handpick the wood. At the lumberyard, they described the thicknesses of the wood a little differently by using quarters. For example, 4/4 is 1 inch, 8/4 is 2 inches. So I chose 4/4 or 1 inch thick pieces that were about 8 feet long. Because these pieces of wood are raw and only run through the planer on the front and the back, you need to plane the sides so you have a straight edge to work off of. You could use a router and a straight edge if you don't have a planer. Next, I sanded the wood with my orbital sander using 80, 120, and 220 grit sandpaper. Because I wanted the wood faces on the front of the doors to be 2.5 inches wide, I used my table saw and ripped each piece down to the right size. Next, I wanted to cut a channel in the back of the wood for my caning to sit. You can skip this step if you don't have a router and just staple and glue the caning to the back of the wood. We used our router and shaved off little by little until we had about 3/4 inch space for the caning to sit. If you try and take off too much wood with the first pass, you'll ruin the router bit just like we did. To join the corners of the door, I cut 45-degree angles on the ends of the wood to make a mitered corner. You don't have to miter the corners, you can do something called a butt joint, but I liked the look of the miter better. We decided to use dowels and a nifty tool called a doweling jig to join the corners. We used 5/16 size dowels, which meant we needed to use a 5/16 brad drill bit. I wanted each corner to have 2 dowels, so I drew 2 straight lines on the corners to help with alignment. Then I matched up the lines on the doweling jig and the wood. I used clamps to secure the wood to the table while I drilled the holes. We applied wood glue to the corners and in the dowel holes and used pipe clamps to apply pressure using some 90-degree plastic corners that we bought at Woodcraft. We also placed some blocking in the middle of the doors to keep it from bowing. I bought the caning online from Frank's Cane and Rush Supply. I liked the look of the fine radial weave, so I got 18 feet of that. I soaked the caning for 2 hours in my bathtub, and then I ripped down some thin pieces of wood to help hold the caning in place. I cut the caning to the right width, and I applied Elmer's glue to the door and on the back of my securing strips. I didn't have one, but if you have a stapler, I recommend stapling the caning to the wood first before you glue. One thing to note is that the caning tightens as it dries, so it's okay to have a little slack in the cane as you're securing it. We let the cane dry overnight and sanded off the excess glue the next day. And there you have it, some custom cane doors. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on some fun DIY tutorials coming soon. Let me know in the comments below something you'd like to add caning to. Thanks for watching.